Hey guys, it's Alexandra. Today I'm going to be talking with Dorothy Taylor. She is a drummer who has been drumming for 57 years. She's gotten to perform on stage with Ray Charles, with Doc Antle from Tiger King. She's gotten to play everything from classical music to jazz to rock to reggae. So she's got all kinds of great experience to share. She actually coaches too now. She is going to play for us. I hope that you'll stay tuned to check her out and you can subscribe for more videos. All right, thank you.
I've been having dreams, jumping on a trampoline, happy in the air. I never learned to move.
I was checking out your videos. You're so talented. I'm so glad that I came across your page. When did you first start playing music? What inspired you to first start music?
Well, I think when I was 2 or 3, I was already interested in music, and so my parents bought me one of those little, like Lioness and Lucy, the little teeny piano.
Right.
And my mom always told me that I cried when I was playing it because it wasn't making pretty music like I thought it should because I didn't know how to play it. So I started taking piano lessons in 3rd grade and just loved music. And we had a drum and bugle corps in my hometown.
Mhm.
And so we had parades all, through the summer, all kinds of different festivals. And uh, I was just in love with the drummers. I just watched the drummers. And so I was in 8th grade. And you know how when you're in 8th grade, you're becoming a teenager and you don't want to be teased by anyone, but I couldn't stand it any longer. I just knew that I had to be a drummer, that I was just born to be a drummer. And so I didn't care what my friends said. So I just went and I signed up in the fall. And because after the summer's over, then, you prepare for the next summer for competitions and everything. So I went and I joined, and that was history as far as, I've been playing ever since 8th grade. So then I got my first drum set when I was a junior in high school because I had just been marching and practicing, on a snare drum. That's how I was able to develop my hands
Mhm.
because it was intense. We practiced 8 to 10 hours a day in the summer for big competitions because we traveled all over the several different states and in the, I guess you call it Midwest, but I call it up north. It's in northern Michigan. So we traveled into Wisconsin, went Minnesota, and down into Canada, all of lower Michigan, down into Chicago. And so I did that for 6 years. And then I started playing in bands and just have done tons of different kinds of music over the years.
Yeah. So when did you decide to share your talents on TikTok?
Well, I had my grandson, he's in 6th grade now, but he got me to sign up on Instagram. And I had done some YouTube videos probably since like 2012. I think I have some. I had put some up there, and I was getting pretty many views on YouTube. And then I just kind of slowed down putting things up on there. And so he said, "Grandma, why don't you put something up on Instagram?" So because my daughter was on Instagram and she was just looking at like fashion and things to do in your home decorating and all. I said, "Oh, do they have drummers and music on Instagram?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." So I started putting up things on Instagram, and I put one video up, and it was playing paradiddles really fast, 230 beats per minute. So I was really going fast. and that thing just took off. It went crazy. Somebody shared it, and then somebody else shared it, and it was just getting, it got, I think, several million views. And so I don't know how long I was on Instagram because it hasn't been that long, a few years. And then my grandson said, Grandma, I have TikTok. Why don't you do TikTok now? So I did that maybe a year ago. I think it might be a year ago or so that I started putting a few things up on TikTok. And then I put one up on TikTok and it just went crazy too. It went viral and I had millions of views.
Yeah,
So then I just keep putting different things. It's been a couple weeks and today, this afternoon, I said, I need to put something up. So I put a little duet with somebody up really fast. And then I just checked before you connected me and it said, so glad to see you. You haven't posted in a while. So I have fans that are keeping track of me, wondering when I'm going to post the next thing.
yeah, I think it's so interesting to see all the reactions. Like when people look at you, they don't expect you to have the talent that you have. What are some of those reactions that you've gotten from people?
Oh goodness! So uh, the last band that I was in, and it's been about a year. Um, yeah, it's been a little bit over a year, possibly. It was right before I went to Drumeo and made that video that also went viral. It was Down with the Sickness, that
Mhm.
like heavy kind of heavy rock song. And so that was the last band that I've been in. But when we would play, people would be out on the dance floor and then they talking to each other, and then all of a sudden they look up at the bandstand and then they get their phones out and start taking pictures and video. And then when we go on break and I step down onto the floor, they all just come over and get pictures with me and ask me questions. Why do I play drums? How did I ever get started playing drums? So it's
Yeah.
just been a whirlwind, really, with social media, and so since my followers are just I've gotten more and more and more. Then I've done so many different podcasts and Zooms with all kinds of different people. So it's been fun. It's just giving me something to do.
Yeah. And how did you get into coaching as well?
Well, because they invited me out to Vancouver to do that video that went viral, and then while I was out there, we did like little snippets, little different videos. Uh, then they came up with that plan for as a Drumeo coach, and I couldn't believe that they included me with the 10 because there's some really good drummers in that group. Really famous in famous bands, and I was like, "Gosh, you want me as a coach?" So I said, "Okay." So that was it.
So
I said, "I'll try," and they're like, "Yeah, you can do it. You can do it."
what do you think has been your favorite experience, your favorite part of that experience?
Well, I think my favorite part. Well, I love all of it really, but my favorite part was I was able to purchase all this equipment and all for the videos because look at this overhead, how awesome that is.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And so it has spot for two more cameras if I ever get rich enough. I don't know whether I really need any more, but I could put one out in the front and I could put one down by my feet. So, and then I never had a computer before. I just used my phone or my iPad. So now I have a real computer and, cameras and lights, and it's just been fun.
Yeah, that is awesome that you're able to still do your music with everything going on. Like quote COVID and everything has put a lot of limitations on concerts and stuff like that. So it's
Right.
awesome that you're able to do this.
But it's built my business up, if you want to call it a business. I have so many virtual students now.
Mhm.
And we've been going at it ever since COVID really first started. So it's been a little bit over a year I picked up several people, I guess, because they couldn't do anything else. And so they said, well, I'm going to take drum lessons. And so they contacted me. So it's been fun.
What are some of those memories being on stage that you're looking forward to revisiting at some point in the future?
Well, I think one of the favorite things that I did, I got to play with Ray Charles.
Oh,
He
wow.
yeah, he came into town because I live in a tourist town, so we have some concerts and some live venues. And he came to do a concert, and I was in the Long Bay Symphony at that time, our local symphony here. And I don't know if you're aware of, but a lot of if you go to a concert and you see some violins up there and trumpets and a mixture of things, and you're probably thinking, wow, that's a big band, they have a lot of people to pay. They usually hire, when they get to those cities, they hire local musicians to fill those spots. So Ray Charles came with his music conductor and keyboardist and probably jazz guitarist and a bass player and the drummer. And I got to play auxiliary percussion, which was some congas, tambourine, shaker, some timpani, just auxiliary things like that. But I was on stage with Ray Charles. And then I've done some other fun things like I did a tribute band. I played regularly. We played a couple times a month, maybe 3 times a month, and we kind of traveled just within, I don't know, 200 miles or so with an Elvis tribute band. And so we did all of Elvis's tunes, and the guy he sounded exactly like Elvis. And so I did that, I don't know, maybe a year and a half with him, and still did, local gigs. And then I did a show one time at this venue called the Palace, and it was a really, really nice venue for concerts and things. And we were hired to play all for the whole summer here in the tourist area. And it was a variety show. And so, did you ever to watch the Tigers? It was what was the name of the show? Where there was a little conflict going on. Somebody killed somebody or whatever, and they were
Oh, Tiger King?
Tiger King.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Doc Antle, who has the tigers and stuff here in Myrtle Beach, uh, he was in the show. He was he brought his big animals like the big liger and things. So it was a variety show. We had singing, dancing, and I was playing auxiliary percussion again. And then when we would take like an intermission, well, that was when he would come out with all the animals. And so we were only maybe 5 or 6 weeks into the run, and we were supposed to play, through Labor Day, and a big storm. But I don't remember if it was an actual hurricane, but it was a terrible thing that came through, and it blew the side of the building off. All of our equipment and everything was on that stage, and it just blew the wall right off, and you could see outdoors
Oh
with it.
my God.
And so the show closed because the building just blew apart. So that's one memorable thing. That was the end uh, of the show, and like I had damage to some of my equipment because of the sudden like pressure that
Right.
goes through a building when like a tornado was coming through. And so I had several things damaged, but we couldn't even get into it to the building until they had the inspectors and they had it all roped off and all. So that was quite the memory.
Wow. Did you
I'm
ever
sure there's,
think did you
I'm
ever
sure,
think when you first decided to play drums that you would have these experiences and make it this far?
oh no, no, never, no. But when I was young and I first started playing drum set my
Mhm.
junior year, I was just young and silly and foolish, and I said I would love to become a famous drummer. Well, it was just kind of a joke, and I knew that was never going to happen because I ended up getting married really young. I was out of high school 2 years, but I was only still 19, and I got married because my husband was stationed where I was living, and he got orders to go somewhere, and I knew I'd never see him again probably. And so we decided to get married. So I forgot the question now. What was I going to say?
When you first started out, did you see yourself getting as far as you got with drums?
Oh, yeah. So, I got married, and then a couple years later, we had our first child. And so, I mean, the dreams of being well known as a drummer, I was known in the area, and people knew me and would hire me. Do you want to play? We're doing a gig next month. Would you want to do it with us? And it was like a one nighter. So I did get kind of a reputation as being a female drummer, and I would get hired like that, but still didn't have anything in my mind. And then within the last year or two, it's like, oh my gosh, people know who I am. So I guess my dream did come true after all.
Yeah. Would
So it was
you
really kind of
have,
funny.
yeah, I absolutely, it just makes me wonder if, you were to look back and you look at young aspiring musicians today, what would your advice be for somebody who might want to start getting into music, but like you were, might feel like, they don't know where to start or they don't know if they'll succeed?
Yeah, I think because that there are wonderful singers in the world, wonderful musicians in the world, but the only people that ever see them are probably their local venue or a band that might be just traveling
Right.
around and not getting known. So it's really the luck of the draw. It, you can aspire to be something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen. Just like watching American Idol, they get so far on it and then their dream is kind of, a letdown to them. But like the judges say, you just have to take rejection and then work twice as hard and go out for another audition, and one day hopefully you're going to be recognized. And I had a young guy. He says he's in high school and he wanted to know how to get endorsed by companies and what could he do and what could he put up on Instagram so that he could become famous. And I just kind of have to laugh because he's so young. He's in high school. My goodness, he has so much time. And my advice was just have patience, but study and practice and be the best that you can possibly be, so that you're prepared to step into the shoes of maybe a drummer that died or or quit or whatever, so that you are the best that you can be and ready to jump into somebody's drum chair and get known, get in a band that's really good, and try to get out there and play as many gigs as you can possibly and get recognized by somebody. So there's no real secret to becoming well known or famous, and start getting all kinds of endorsements from companies. I've never had an endorsement by a company until Peisty Cymbals endorsed me. I think I got the endorsement in November, last November, and I wasn't looking for it. They just came to me through social media, seeing my social media followers, and decided, she would be good for our company.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
so then I'm giving these Drumeo coaching sessions, and they go live, but then they're archived for people all around the world.
Wow.
There are people all around the world that are members of Drumeo. And so they want to know my equipment. And so I tell them, what each cymbal is, the size, what series in the cymbals they are, and excuse me. So I am showing my equipment, even though I'm not on the road with someone famous, and so their product is, getting advertised, which makes them happy.
Yeah, it's
But
so
I don't really have specific advice to someone on what they have to do, because each person that has been recognized, they'll have a different story how they got there.
right. I think it's so interesting and important to see people like you and artists like you who aren't trying to like make it overnight and are there's such, especially on TikTok with musicians, there's everybody wants to, make their fame off of one song that might go trending and go viral, and they'll play a song in the back of their video and say, this song that you're hearing is on my SoundCloud now, go download it, all that stuff. So it's inspiring, I think, to see somebody who's been practicing and doing all of this work and has had all this experience, and it really just shows like the value of that. So I really appreciate you sharing what you do. I think it's very motivating for any musician.
Thank you. Yeah, it takes thousands and thousands of hours to get where you need to be or where you want to be. It can't be like people ask all the time, how my left hand is so weak. How do I build my left hand speed? And there's no miracle cure for it other than practice, and practice more on your left. Then your left hand is going to get stronger and stronger. Like you couldn't work out with weights and only do your right arm.
Right.
Then you have this big old muscle on your right arm and nothing on your left. So say your left is weaker, you're going to have to do maybe a little extra on that left until you get to where you need to be. But it's an ongoing thing. When you don't play for a few days and I sit down, it's like, oh my gosh, my left hand is so stiff. And then like within 30, 40 minutes, it's back to normal again. But there's been, years and years and years of working that left hand to get it to where it is now.
Yeah, definitely. So I would really love to hear a little bit about what kind of styles you've been playing lately. And especially, I'm excited to hear you play. So what have you kind of been up to late? What have you been most inspired by recently?
Well, I love shuffles. Like
Hmm.
it's just, there's so much fun to play because you have a lot of, things going on. It's like shuffling is like triplets, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And they're just fun to play. But as far as music, I've played everything over the years, from classical to jazz to blues, funk, rock, classic rock, uh, Dixieland, and that Dixieland band that I played with. It's been probably 25 years ago, and these guys were really old then. They were like probably in their 80s when they were playing, but they were top-notch musicians that had been playing all their lives, and they played up in New York area and moved down here. So they were just amazing musicians, and I had the time of my life, and that was Dixieland music. And so I just love playing. I love any kind of music. But like when I sit down to play, uh, it's probably, besides the shuffle, it's just like kind of like a funk kind of groove. So I'll play a little bit and stick a bunch of fills in there, and then I'll play the shuffle at the end, and you'll hear how fun a shuffle can sound. Okay.
All right, sounds great. I'm excited to hear. awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really
But
enjoyed hearing from you.
you could tell the shuffle at the end. That's
Yeah.
just so fun to play.
Definitely. Well, it was lovely meeting you and awesome to hear you play. I definitely look forward to watching more of your content and seeing, what else,
Thank
who
you.
else you duet with and all of that stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah, definitely keep making your stuff. I hope that you also, continue coaching. I think that's awesome. You'll definitely help a lot of people that way. And just, yeah, thank you so much for sharing with me. I really enjoyed hearing about your experiences and think it's really cool that you're, putting yourself out there in the way that you are.
Okay. Thank you. I just enjoy it, and I'm having fun inspiring people because they see that I'm doing it still at my age. So I'm having a lot of older people picking it up. It's something that they've wanted to do all their life and never did it. And they are seeing me. It's like, man, if she's doing it, I can do it.
Mhm.
And then for the younger people, they figure the same thing. Well, if she can play drums, I sure can. So I've been inspiring people. And so it's just been a lot of fun getting a
Absolutely.
lot of comments. I like reading all the comments, and they're all positive.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm so glad you're reaching people in the way that you hope.
Thank you.
All right. It was so great to meet you. Stay in touch.
Okay, nice to meet you too.
All right. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.